Starting out with the AFC East, the Bills pretty much have the division on lock already with Josh Allen, and the rest is just a race for second. I think the Patriots have some serious potential this season. Drake May looks promising for what he was working with last season. I think he could have a big year. I really like the Trevion Henderson pick, and I think he will comfortably become running back one over Stevenson. The receiving core looks better with adding Diggs, and the O-line is brand new with four starters, and the defense should be solid. And they also got a new head coach with Mike Vrabel, and I think they'll sneak into the playoffs as the 7th seed. I think we'll see Miami completely collapse this season. The offense is alright, but Tua is super inconsistent, and Hill and Waddle are coming off down years, and the O-line is pretty bad. For some reason, their offense can't function in the cold either. The secondary looks pretty rough outside of Minka, and I expect them to get fried every game. And I don't think McDaniel makes it past the end of the year. And then last, I have the Jets. This offense is going to be horrible. Justin Fields is not a starting caliber quarterback and cannot throw or read the field. The run game is weak, and Garrett Wilson is really the only weapon on this offense. The O-line also took a huge hit with Vera Tucker out for the season. The defense is okay, but when they will just constantly be on the field, it won't even matter. For the AFC North, I have the Ravens running away with the division pretty easily. They have the best offense in the league, and they'll have one of the best defenses too. And I think this is pretty easily the best team coming into the season. In second, I got the Steelers, who will barely keep the Tomlin non-losing season record alive. I don't expect the offense to look much different from last year, even with a little bit of a QB upgrade and a wide receiver 1 upgrade. Even though the defense looks really good on paper, I don't see it fully clicking and still think they'll get dominated by good teams. And as long as Mike Tomlin is the head coach of this team, they will not win a playoff game. I still don't really get the Bengals hype. The offense is really good, but the O-line is still bad. And even though Burrow is elite, he isn't on Lamar Allen's level. The defense is going to kill them again like last year. And before last season, I said that the defense was going to be so bad that they wouldn't even make the playoffs, and I was right. And then in last, as always, I have the Browns. This offense is going to be horrible, but with Flacco, they might be able to score some points, even though it might come with multiple turnovers a game. I would assume Gabriel Shadur will take over as the QB1 at some point. And the defense honestly looks solid, but I think it'll be the same thing with the Jets where the offense will be so bad it won't even matter. The AFC South is easily the worst division in football, and I have the Texans taking the division again. The Texans' offense regressed last season, and Stroud didn't look as good as his rookie season, but the O-line was also awful, and they're going to be horrible again. The receiving core took a hit with Diggs leaving and Tank Dell being out for the season, but they did bring in Higgins and Knoll through the draft. Defense is very good, but I don't expect too much out of the Texans overall. Out of the three teams at the bottom in the AFC South, the Colts will be the one I see most likely to be a surprise team. The QB situation is bad, but I'm a little higher on Daniel Jones than everyone else's. Outside of QB, the offense is pretty good with Taylor, a good receiving core, and Tyler Warren, and a good O-line. But because of the QB, they will most likely be bad offensively, and the defense looks like it could be solid. Trevor Lawrence still hasn't taken the next step, and I really thought after they almost beat the Chiefs in that divisional game that they'd be good for years to come, but it never happened. The backfield should be interesting. I assume Bigsby would be the running back one at one point or split carries with ETN. Hunter and Thomas should be a pretty good wide receiver duo, but I really worry about the defense, especially the secondary. And then last I have the Titans. I'm not very high on Cam Ward, so I don't expect much out of him this season, especially with a little help, and the defense isn't looking too great either. And I think Tennessee will be competing for the number one pick again. For the AFC West, I have a super bold take and have the Broncos taking the division. I was completely wrong about the Broncos last season, and they really surprised me. Bo Nix looks like he could be the guy in Denver. The run game is improved, and they're running behind maybe the best O-line in the league. The receiving core isn't great, but Sutton has been reliable for years, and they have three young guys and a real tight end with Evan Ingram. The defense should be very good, maybe even best in the league. Even though they're in I have them finishing second. I still have the Chiefs making the AFC Championship. Even though they won 15 games last year, they didn't look very dominant, but this team just knows how to win, especially in the playoffs. In third, I have the Chargers. I don't care what anyone says about Herbert in the playoffs. He's still an elite quarterback and underrated at this point. The defense was very good last season, and Harbaugh did a great job in his first year. And then in last, I have the Raiders. They got Geno Smith, who will throw for a lot of yards, but he's not really that good and will turn it over a lot. The run game should be very good with Gentry, though, but the defense is still going to be bad unless Carroll can really turn it around. For the NFC East, I have the defending Super Bowl champions taking the division pretty easily. The offense is very good, and Hurts showed that he can play at a high level, even though I still think he's overrated, seeing people put him in top 5 conversations, and they still have an elite defense. In second, I have the Cowboys. Dak Prescott is a good QB and will give Dallas a good passing game, but the offense is going to be very one-dimensional since they have no run game. The defense is not very good, especially with losing Micah Parsons, but I think Dak in the passing game will be good enough to give them a winning record. In third, I have the Commanders. I still think Daniels is and will be a very good quarterback, maybe even elite, but they definitely overperformed last season, and I'm a little afraid it will be like the Texans the year before. They don't have a run game and the defense isn't great. And last, I have the Giants. They should at least have competent QB play with Russ, and we might see Dart at one point. The O-line is going to be bad once again, but they should still be solid in the run, and Malik Neighbors is an elite receiver, and I could see them having a pretty good defense too. I think the NFC North will be very tight with the Lions coming out on top. They had some key losses on the O-line and lost Ben Johnson, but they still have the best running game in the league and a very good QB with good weapons surrounding him along with a good defense. In second, I have Green Bay. They just made a big move to get Micah Parsons, which is huge for their defense, since the pass rush was non-existent last season. Jacobs had a great first season with Green Bay, and they might have found an actual wide receiver one in Matthew Golden. In third, I have the Vikings. I don't believe in J.J. McCarthy, but they did win 14 games with Sam Darnold and have a great defense that forced the most turnovers in the league. Then in last, I have the Bears. The offense looks pretty good on paper, especially with an improved O-line, but Caleb Williams has a lot to prove this season after a bad rookie season. The defense was good last season. They got offensive mastermind Ben Johnson, so I don't see how the offense can be this bad again, but it's also the Bears. For the NFC South, I have the Bucks coming in first, and I think they could be a serious contender. Baker has completely revived his career, and they might have the best overall receiving core when Godwin and McMillan come back. I think Ibuka will be a legitimate Rookie of the Year candidate and be the best rookie receiver, and I think the secondary will be improved. In second, I have the Falcons, who are finally going to break out of that 7 to 8 win range. Penix looks solid in a very limited sample size, and I believe he can be the franchise QB. They also have a good O-line along with maybe one of the best running backs in the league and a solid receiving core. The defense is a little shaky, but I still believe in the Falcons. In third, I have the Panthers. Bryce Young showed why he was the first overall pick towards the end of last season, but I'm not sure if he can continue to play like that. Even if he does, they have one of the worst defenses in the league. And then in last, I have the Saints. This team is just not very good and doesn't have a QB, even though I have a little bit of faith in Rattler. For the NFC West, I think the 49ers will bounce back this season. Purdy is still a good quarterback, and maybe McCaffrey can actually stay healthy. And when Ayuk comes back, they'll have a nice receiving core. I think Shanahan will be able to figure it out and turn them back around. In second of the Seahawks, this defense is going to be elite, especially with head coach Mike Macdonald, but I worry about the offense. I think we'll see more of the Sam Darnold from the Jets than the one from the Vikings, and the O-line is going to be atrocious again. I just don't see this offense being good or consistent enough to be a threat. In third, I have the Rams. Stafford is getting older and is dealing with an injury, and if he misses time, things will get ugly. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams win the division, but there seems to be two or three teams that go from playoffs to missing them year to year. And then in last are the Cardinals. Kyler Murray still isn't taking that next step, and there's really nothing they have that makes me think they can be a playoff team. I think this is finally the year we see someone else represent the AFC and knock off the Chiefs, whether it's Baltimore or Buffalo, but ultimately decided Buffalo. I think the NFC is a lot deeper than the AFC, but less top heavy, where I could see multiple teams making the Super Bowl, but really only three in the AFC. But I went with the safe pick and have the Eagles going back to the Super Bowl. And I have this year being the year Buffalo finally breaks through and Allen wins his first ring. It seems like the MVP race will be between Lamar and Josh Allen for the next few years, and I have Lamar winning it. For Offensive Player of the Year, I think Chase will win it, because in my opinion, he's the best receiver in the league, and he's an elite quarterback throwing to him. For Defensive Player of the Year, I think it'll finally be Parsons' year to take home the award, with Hutchinson being a close second, who would have been a top candidate for the award last year if it wasn't for his injury. I had a tough time picking Offensive Rookie of the Year because I didn't want to be boring and pick Jenny, but I still will. He will get a lot of carries, and the running backs drafted that high are usually elite in the NFL. But Emeka Egbuka was a very close second, who I think will be right there with Jenny and have over 1,000 yards. For Defensive Rookie of the Year, I have another boring pick with Abdul Carter, but he's just so good and will most likely already be a top edge rusher in his rookie year. I think Hutchinson wins Comeback Player of the Year pretty easily, considering he'll be a strong Defensive Player of the Year candidate, but if McCaffrey can stay healthy, he'll be up there too. I have big hopes for the Broncos this year, so I have Sean Payton walking out with the award.